How's it doing, everybody? Welcome to another Wednesday Lunch Live Sketch. My name's Frank Summers, and this week we are going to be drawing Jason Voorhees from Friday the 13th series. And the reason I do that is because, well, as luck or fate would have it, this Friday will be Friday the 13th, as of this recording anyway. As a quick rundown, the Wednesday Lunch Live Sketch is we pick a topic once a week. We spend 25 minutes trying to get as much as we can in there. Sometimes it looks like a half-finished sketch. Sometimes I can get into color. Today I hope to get into some color. So that said, why don't we hop into Photoshop. I will start my timer, and away we go. So I have my layer. I have a thumbnail, thumbs, and I'm drawing with blue. I have a gray background simply because my eyesight is really taking a bit of a beating these days. So I'm trying to work with a gray neutral background. So I have an idea. So I think I want him looking over his shoulder. So and I'd like to get his legs in here, so maybe I need to think again. Let me just rethink. In terms of where I want things to sit. So if this is where a head will be, we'll have a foot planted around here someplace. And let's find like a gesture. Something like this. Chest mass, pelvis, somewhere around here. Let's just work very loose and rough. And let's get the feet planted in there a little bit. Get that line of action. The head will be kind of coming up a little bit, looking over his shoulder, which will be around here somewhere. Here's a shoulder socket. And then a head cranial shape around like something here. Drop down into a jaw, the neck. And again, we'll kind of keep following things around. Our arm will be around here, elbow. Or maybe I can break this out a little more to form a bit more of a silhouette. So elbow will be here. Bring the arm up into a fist holding his machete. And I feel like I'd like to have it kind of coming in something on a diagonal so we can kind of our eye can kind of come back in and draw our eye back into the composition. Again, I want a 3/4 on the head, so eye line around here someplace. But however, I think I'd like it rotated back, like he's looking down on us. So eye line would be rotated back like this. Cranial will probably be adjusted a little bit more like that. And we'll find the jaw around there someplace. Okay, the neck could be thicker. Hip going down into the knee, which could be adjusted a little more around here someplace. And yeah, so this is looking pretty, so maybe this leg needs to come out a little more to catch his balance. All right, and then here's our rotation on the sleeve, or excuse me, elbow. We have eye sockets around here someplace. We'll make them a little larger since we're talking about a mask, actually, in this particular case. But eyes will be around there. Kind of looking at us. Yeah, looking at us, the viewer. The mask, something like this, but I'm not concerned about the mask just yet. I actually played around with the idea of making him very cartoony. Like I actually looked at some of the NES artwork, and I almost wanted to go with that, like the coloring. The color scheme, like he's more purple, which of course has more to do with the NES's limited color palette. But I think I'm going to go a little more traditional. He'll be darker. And we'll play this pretty flat. And by flat, I mean the blade is, the flat edge of the blade is being shown to us. All right, so there is our rough basic idea of how we want things to sit. And his head's a little big. I think what I'd like to do actually is scale him down slightly. And maybe just make his legs a little larger. Maybe something along these lines. Some diagonal, right? A diagonal in the floor plane. The knee around here somewhere. This foot planted here. This foot could be planted slightly on the angle. I think I said before in one of my other previous live sketches, whenever I have like down here, I have a notification. I have to click it. I have to fight the urge to click that right now. That's how it is on my phone too. Like I can't have something on my phone. I have to have my notifications clear. It just drives me insane. Check time. Oh, we're good. 5 minutes in, and we got a pretty good idea of where the gesture is going to go. So why don't we step into, maybe they'll pull up some reference, and his machete, yeah, it's pretty basic. I mean, I can get away with, I mean, maybe I can give it a little bit of shape, actually. Like this one has a much more rounded, like it has like a little scoop cut out there. So let's just play with our design a little bit. And like this is kind of rounded and with a nice point right here around the edge. Really good for getting through that thick jungle brush and teenage flesh. And so this can be played kind of thin, the hilt. And we know that underneath here someplace is the rest of the blade, the handle. And the reason I'm drawing that in there in the first place is because I feel like his hand is just not properly gripping that machete. Pull it in a little bit. So where's his wrist? Around here. And let's have that hand come in. And again, if the handle is here, let's construct this hand a little better. And that looks a little better. It just doesn't look as, his arm is looking a little too long. I mean, honestly, he's pretty, I mean, I have his collar kind of popped, but maybe, so I can kind of maybe pull his collar down. And maybe the hint of the other collar on the other side. And I wonder if I should make him a little beefier looking. I mean, we are getting a profile. And he is slightly hunched over, so maybe what I can do is exaggerate this back a little more to kind of give him a little more bulk. I mean, his neck's pretty thick. And we can definitely beef up the shoulder mass here. So the shoulder would be overlapping the collar. And I think this is just like a big mess. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of ratty, and so I'm going to have to kind of, you know, do something like that. There we are. So now I kind of beefed up his mass a little more, his chest mass, something like that. Pelvis is fine. It's going to be covered mainly by the jacket, which can fall something like this. And then the legs, thicker, so maybe thicker at the top. You know, here's our pelvis going down into the knee block. And so the cut of his pants, and let's just block in the idea of where a foot will be. And then the same chunky at the top, knee block moving down. And this foot, again, will be flat, maybe rotated slightly away from us. Great. Oops, save it. Do our zoom out trick. Let's hide this stuff. Let's give it a good squint. And I can see that maybe the leg back leg could probably be pushed a tad more screen left. I'll have to adjust where the thigh is going. Feed into its pelvis like that. There we are. And squint again at it. Okay, let's go back into the head and try and refine the head a bit more. We're making some progress here. So we have a cranium. And again, it's rotated. Oh, my phone battery is dying. Well, here's our eye line. Let's adjust this eye line. Let's adjust all of this actually. Here's our cranial mass, our jaw shape, and let's get some depth to the head here. So we have a plane of the face is around here somewhere. So that means the eye line would be something like this. And here's our holes for the eyes. I want to exaggerate them slightly, I think, maybe. I don't know. And the mask comes around like this. And this would follow the eye line. The strap would follow the curvature of that. This strap, maybe we won't even see it. And, where's the reference? You don't really get too much of the side of his head. So maybe the shape of this mask needs to kind of come around a little more like this. I feel like I want to play this very clean, though. I'd like to make this a very clean silhouette. Maybe a little bit of a divot for where the eye is. Let me check my time. So we're at 13-minute mark. So what I'd like to do now is just really quickly get in some eyes. And so this, something along those lines. And now what I'd like to do is move into the next step, which is to say make a new layer. We'll just call this, this is certainly not a tie down, but we'll call it roughs. We'll pull our thumbs down a little bit. And we'll pick a darker black for our roughs, and we'll start to refine some of this a little bit more. Still kind of want to move quickly here because I'm kind of racing against the clock a little bit. One of the funny things about his mask is that it's so rounded. And the reason I say that is because, let's give this a little bit of shape. In most cases, villains have sharper angles, points. I guess that's kind of one of the great things about his design. His mask is a pretty rounded element, and it's always contrasted with a very sharp element, right? And I guess that's one of the things that makes him kind of iconic. And by that I mean you glance and you can see it. You can quickly see a picture of Jason, and you immediately know what you're looking at. Now let's take a look at his mask here for a second. Where the holes lie. So there's one underneath, which is interesting. Never noticed that. And the design of it is something along this. We got one here, we got one here and here, here and here. These are a little flatter. And we have like a triangular type grouping. And then we have some on top of his head, moving 1, 2, and 3. I don't know if I like that. They're a little tight. 1, 2, 3. So I'm trying to like respect the curvature of his mask. And again, another triangular grouping along his temple. And I'm pretty sure also he probably has like some, I guess the word I'm looking for is like a strap or something. And he definitely has the insane straps, I mean wisps of hair that I will address. And since we have a bit of rotation on the head, we need a hint of a jaw. And then the neck. And now we can move down into the collar. And again, we have an overlapping shoulder mass. And let's get rough with this. Chunky shapes moving into the sleeve. Oop. Okay. And again, the other collar peeking over here. All right. And one of the things I'd like to do today is I'd like to get some color into him. And so let's just treat these as very blocky type shapes. Yeah, I'd like to experiment with some brushes I bought from Kyle Webster. Really great brushes. And again, sharp point right here, but this is nice and rounded. And we can give it a little bit of notch. Maybe the idea of a handle down here. All right. Cool. Save, and let's pull the rough sketch out. We'll throw a color layer in here. And so like I was just saying, I have some Kyle Webster. Let me check my time here. We got 6 minutes, 7 minutes. That's enough time, I think, to block in some color. I bought Kyle Webster's gouache brushes. And there was one I played with earlier. Which one was it already? My wife's computer just decided to turn on back there. I think I like the Perfecto. Yeah, it's fun. These are really fun. First, I'm gonna fix this. There we go. So let's get some color here. Well, obviously the whitish, grayish for his mask. Do some save, always save, and we can really just block in the color. These gouache brushes have a lot of texture to them, which is kind of fun. And I'll add in his red markings too. And we can go maybe slightly for the skin tone. Yeah, we can put a little bit of tone in there. Something sickly, I suppose, is a good word. Maybe even darker than this. Yeah, we can go a little dark, more ashen. It's getting lost slightly in the background there, but it's all right. And of course, put the eye white in there. Keep his eyes like a bead. Maybe. I used to have a color wheel, and it's not amazing. There's one I would like to get. I'm drawing a blank on. Drawing a blank on what it's called. So for his jacket, gray, like a tan, dirty, like a dirty tan. I mean, I feel like more than anything, he should be kind of dark. And so something along these lines. I think behind him, I'd like to put a color, some sort of color card, like a green, or like he's in the woods. Some of these tones are kind of hard to see, especially against the gray. So let's just mask these colors in. Hands, we can go kind of darkish blue. Yeah, the texture on this is really nice. And you can build up a nice tone. I have to say, I am not a huge fan of the Friday the 13th series. Don't get me wrong, I watched my share. Kind of lost interest, I suppose. Kind of lost interest in the horror genre entirely. When I was younger, definitely way more into it. I don't know. Just lost interest in it, I suppose. I know my sister is still heavily into it. My brother-in-law, my brother Phil on the Shamoozle. I think it was for it was for Halloween. He was watching all of I think every one of them. I don't think he saw them before. I might be wrong on that. So he started watching them all. So that jacket can definitely go a little darker. Let's just grab that. And one thing I can do is lock the transparency and do something like this. And actually, just grab a hard round and do that. Fix the flow. Yeah, this darker brown is way better. Let's find it again. Wash Primo? Perfecto. So let's kind of fill in our gaps here a little bit. Take this out. And I think he's got gloves. We can probably play the hands pretty straight, like just like a dark. Clean this a little better. There we go. Good. Same with the skin tone here. It's kind of clean that up a little bit. I like this brush because it has that grit. I hope it's coming across. So let's get the hands. We'll go darker with the hands because he is wearing the glove. And I would like to spend a little more time on his mask. let's get this machete in here. We're gonna need some more contrast, I think. So we can go lighter with the machete for right now, simply because you can see it. Yeah, these brushes are fun. Based after Mary Blair, who was a very well-known background artist from the Disney in the 30s. Damn you. Okay, I'm going to go over just 5 minutes. Let's try and block in the rest of this. Oh, wrong color. Sample the hand and make it the same. I'm going to go over just 5 minutes. Cool. Great. All right, so I think what we can do is maybe find that red. I'm going to pick that red. I might want to go a little lighter, simply so that it reads. And let's get a good look. It's kind of a triangular shape. And then that's a different looking mask. These are kind of triangular also. And this triangle, actually, interestingly enough, from its design, gives him like a bit of a scowl, whereas he really doesn't have any. So let's take this and kind of darken up his head. Save. Give the impression of some hair, and I will put some hair in. I want to add another layer of hair. Just build this tone up a little more. It's nice having the flesh tones kind of peek out. So why don't we do that now? Why don't we just build in some hair wisps? And trying to design them so that they kind of read, you know. Maybe something like this. Kind of gross. Some are kind of short. Here's a tuft over here. It's kind of fun. Give this a little bit of a curl. It's like the impression of it kind of being like greasy or something. It's kind of curling. Alrighty. So we can take, let's add another layer. We can start thinking about some tone here. This has some thickness to it. And we can sample the jacket, go a little red. I'm going to go just for another couple more minutes here. If you've been hanging with me, I appreciate it. Or if you've watched this at a later date, that works too. Yeah, this is a fun. Oh man, you can like really get light with it and blend it in there. It's fun. And if you bear down on it a little bit, you get a nice crisp edge. It's fun. It's fun. Yeah, it's fun. Look at that. Yeah, these are great brushes. Kyle doing yeoman work. Can maybe go a little darker in his mask. And certainly in his eye patch. Keep the eyes kind of glowing. Go dark. Okay. Let's grab his pants. Maybe a little too dark. Let's undo that. Oh, just it's a little inky, you know. And that's too. Got to split the difference. That's better. Mainly this leg, I'm sure, thinking is going to be in tone. Oh. Maybe a little bit of the leg is hitting some light. In danger of kind of flattening that back leg out a little bit, so I want to be careful. Let's clean this up. Yeah, nice texture. Go lightly with it here. Let's go lightly here too, just to kind of soften this somewhat. And then his feet. Let's go darker with these. Probably if this foot's totally in shadow. And this one can kind of maybe not so much. And finally at last, we'll throw some tone on this hand. And our sword. Sword. Machete. All right, I'm not a fan of what's going on there. Let's try that again. Maybe go a little lighter. Still not a huge fan of that. The impression of a bit of a depth here. Alrighty, Rooney. It's looking not too shabby. He's kind of fun. Kind of cool. I dig this guy. A little bit of tone here on this. And I think we put a little more underneath the jaw. That'll help really sell his head kind of having some depth to it. There we go. Go even a little darker in there. Right underneath here. Maybe something here. Pull that back slightly. Maybe under here. Great. kind of hit a few core tones just to help push things just a bit more depth. It can be darker. This can be darker. All right, something in here. Okay, I think I feel pretty good about Jason. His machete's okay. I guess it works. Maybe we can even put a little bit of blood on it. Let's try that really quickly, then I'll sign off. How about that? I don't know how dark to go with the blood. Let's see what we can come up with. Actually, let's see. Wet round. Wash. Wet round. Let's see how that works. Maybe pull it back a little bit. Maybe? I don't know. What do you guys think? With or without the blood? Let's try one more time. You go a little lighter with it. The wet round. It's fun. Yeah, these are great brushes. We can even get a little darker. Just to set that to multiply? No. Maybe? Nah, we'll leave it at normal. We'll pull the opacity back up slightly. There we go. Maybe just like some highlight. It's glistening. There we go. I think that's going to do it for today. I think the last thing I probably will do, but maybe I'll do it after the fact, is just throw like a slate behind him. I don't know, something greenish. I don't know. I'll give it some thought. Well, that'll about do it for today. I thank you guys very much for joining me. You see a red subscribe button there. Why don't you click that? I do the Wednesday Lunch Live sketch every Wednesday at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. I ran over it a little bit today. Hope you guys don't mind. There's also some Toon Boom Harmony tutorials that I do. There is a link there you can click that will bring you to the first in the playlist, I believe, as well as some other random odds and ends I post up on my YouTube channel. I thank you guys once again for joining me. You all have a great week and take care.